Okay, we're going live. Yay! Has anybody seen the live thing?
I don't see it on Facebook, but I do see it on the Zoom meeting itself.
Okay, then it should then that's good. So we just get started. I know there's usually like a 2 or 3 minutes, maybe even 1 minute delay. Oh, I see us on Facebook now. Okay, so it says I'm live. It says I'm live. Is that, if anybody is on my page, you see it's live right now. So I'm going to silence that so we can start. Very good. All right. Yay! Whoo! All right. So welcome, everybody to Ask Coach Lulu. My name is Dr. Lulu, aka the Momatrician. I'm a board certified pediatrician and I'm a mom. So I go by the phrase the Momatrician. And yes, it's a trademark, so you can't steal it. But forget about that. Today we're going to talk to four individuals who have decided to take their time to come and pour into your hearts and mine and talk about their coming out stories. Today is part two of the BAGA series. Yes, if you live in America, you know what BAGA, you know what I was doing with that little BAGA right there, Black and Gay in America, because I can. So we're going to talk about why it's important to share stories and other stories. Let's just put it that way, and other stories. So, well, without further ado, I'm just going to introduce myself. I am a life coach. I coach parents of LGBTQ plus kids, or like my friend Asia taught me yesterday, LGBTQ2 plus kids. What? I'm a lifelong learner. I'm learning every day. And so I help these parents accept, understand, and support their children so they can live their lives, thrive, and flourish without judgment and limitations. I know that's a lot of words, but that's true. So, enough about me. Welcome. I'm going to start from my left, and this is just no special arrangement. I'm just going to go because Dante just happens to be on my left. So, Dante, welcome. Nnamdi, welcome. Asia, welcome. And William is on the phone. William will be joining us in person in a minute. Everyone say hey. So, hi. I'm going to just find all of y'all on my phone. And if you want to share, go ahead and click share from my page so that your friends. Oh, Asia already shared. Oh, this is good. You guys already shared. This is great. This is fantastic. Okay, well then let's get started. So we're going to start with the first question. The first question is just like any other question. Who are you and why did you decide to do this interview? So Dante, take it away. Unmute yourself and take it away.
Hi, I'm Dante Fisher. I'm a 27-year-old man from central Pennsylvania, and I identify as gay. And so I decided to do this interview because I think that it's really important that we have these conversations. Like Dr. Lulu was mentioning, it's important to be a lifelong learner. And I definitely, like, even though I am a gay man myself, I know that I constantly need to put in the work and keep learning about other people's experiences because, you don't just arrive at some sort of perfect knowledge. You have to keep putting in the work. And so part of that is sharing stories so that people can listen and listening to the stories that other people share.
Sharing and listening. Yes. So you don't want to just be a talk. You want to be a listener. And I think one of the things I heard that I love the most is that God gave us one mouth and two ears so we can listen twice as much for those of you who believe in God. But either way, the universe, science gave us one mouth and two ears so you can listen twice as much. So we're going to hop on to Asia. Asia is doing us a huge favor today. Believe it or not, it's almost midnight where Asia is. So Asia, thank you so much. And am I saying your name correctly or did I get it right?
It's Asa Laveau.
Ah, all right. Well, I thought it was Asia. Okay, my bad. So Asa,
No worries.
so Asa, tell us a little bit about you and why did you, I mean, who are you and why did you decide to do this? Besides the fact that I pretty much volunteered you, why else did you decide to do this?
So, first off, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be here in this space. I do not take it lightly at all. And for those of you all who are catching this live or catching this on a replay, first of all, thank you for showing up and showing support in this capacity. I do not take that lightly either. Again, my name is Asa LeBeau, and I am known as America's #1 entrepreneur coach. I coach LGBTQ2 plus entrepreneurs on how to create their first $1,000 in business authentically. I do this as a result of being the founder and creator of the Queer Money Gang. And doing that allows me to really speak into the lives of the queer community and allow economic empowerment to happen. I feel that there's no need to sit and reside in this space that says because we are queer, because we are lesbians, because we are pan, that we don't deserve every single thing that was meant for us to receive in this lifetime, like in this lifetime. So because of that, that's why I do what I do. As far as how I identify, my pronouns are he, him, they, them, and God. To remember that queer people are divine as hell. And also to otherwise identify would be pansexual, um, meaning I fall in love with pretty ass humans.
I love it. I love it. I can't even what? I love it. Ooh, just listening to that intro tells you, if you don't know yet, that this is going to be a fun afternoon. So I also do not take it lightly, because one of my friends said this on his wedding day many moons ago. He said about his wife when it was time to do the vote of thanks. He said, "I know my raps are smooth, but even the best rapper needs a good listener." So he said that because he said he thought his wife needed to listen to his raps and believe his raps and therefore accept to marry him. So I do not take it lightly. I know my raps are smooth, but I need a good listener. So thank you all for being there and wanting to join us today. So I'm going to hop on to my right. Nnamdi is on my extreme right, wearing my brand colors, my Bridgestone colors, maybe because they are my child, but yay! So, Nnamdi, unmute yourself and tell us, who are you and why are you here? Besides the fact that your mama made you do it.
Hi everyone, my name is Nnamdi Oditahona. Like Dr. Lulu mentioned, I am her first kid. Um, she did not make me do this. She asked me to, and I chose to because I wanted to. Um, and I thought this would be an amazing platform to hear other amazing stories coming out. I think now in 2021 and in recent years, it's become more of a spectacle coming out as opposed to a vital part of any queer person's journey in self-determination and self-love. And I think a space like this where we're focusing less on, or we're allowing queer people to be as honest as they want to, and not for people to consume, but for their own betterment. And I couldn't say no to being a part of that. Um, I'm very invested in the kind of work that my mom does. I am also personally invested in Black queer liberation. I think about it all the time and have these conversations whenever I can. So why would I not be a part of this? As far as who I am and what I do, I am a first-year master's student in music performance at the New England Conservatory in Boston, Massachusetts. And I am 22 years old and I use they, them pronouns.
Yay! And if it makes anybody who's listening feel better, this is the individual, this is the person, this is the child, this is the son that is the inspiration for what I do. And every time I talk about them, every time I talk about them, I get emotional. I was in a coaching call this morning and I was talking about them and I started crying. And they were like, "Wait, are those real tears?" I said, "They are real tears." Not only because I happen to be their mother, but also because this is such an important work to do. This is so important. I'm like, why don't I do it? If anybody can do it, why not me? And I have a secret to tell y'all, okay? I had my other son look up how many How many coaches out there coach parents of LGBTQ plus kids? And how many of them are Black? And how many of them are female or identify as female? How many of them? How many? Your guess is as good as mine. Your guess is as good as mine. And so that's why I do what I do. Thank you so much, Nnamdi. Thank you so much. We call them Papa. So if I get out of whatever and say Papa, just bear with me because that's what we call them at home. But thank you so much for honoring me, for agreeing to do this, for just always just being there for your mom. I appreciate you so much. And for the work that you do for your brothers. We do not take it lightly. Okay, enough about that. Joining us on the phone and soon to be in person, I mean, not in person, on video is William. William and I go back like last week, but we met and we literally just clicked. And so, William, you can unmute yourself and talk to us, baby. What's going on? Why are you here? Talk to us.
All right. Hey, everybody. My name is William Stinchcomb. Pronouns are he, him, his. I want to first thank you, Dr. Lulu, for considering me to be a part of this conversation. It's actually quite an honor because these are important conversations that need to be had for everyone. And so I also want to apologize to anybody who's listening and watching. I have to apologize being a good child, being a good son that I am. I went out to go do some things with my mom because she's going to be out on Tuesday for a surgery. And so I had to go do my sonly duties before I could commit completely. So I'm actually just pulled up at home, and here in a moment, I'll be joining you all in the camera. But again, thank you all. William, again, I am actually a licensed professional counselor, independently licensed. And I do this work because it's important to help people realize their own truths and trying to help people come to some sort of some kind of resolve in their life, so that way they can be happy with what's going on in their worlds and then be able to move forward with the collective decisions that are best for them. So I really truly believe in that. And what community better needs it than ours? I identify as pansexual, and it's an interesting journey. It's an interesting journey getting to this particular space in my identity, because I always identified as bisexual. And so recognizing that our sexuality and even gender identity is on a spectrum, and being able to help people work through that, it's so important. My current work, I work specifically in an organization that specifically focuses on the health of LGBTQ plus individuals, people living with HIV, AIDS, and just folks who are looking for a good health provider. And it's an amazing journey to be a part of other people's successes and seeing how they can come to resolve, especially my lovely folks who are within the trans community, because I can't stand when any one of us is hurting. And when you talk about, for those of us who have the intersectionality of being Black and then whatever else, it's always a struggle. Specifically when you're talking about gender-related issues, it's always a good conversation worth having. And so that's why I wanted to be a part of this one, because we always need to have that voice brought up, that conversation brought up, and what better way to do it than on a platform like this. So again, thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much. It already took off. We already got started. We already launched. I love it. And just so you know, if you're watching us live, can you take 1 second to type the word live? That's number one. And then number two, if you have any concerns, if you have anything you want to say to any of the panelists, kindly type it in the comment section. I am watching live. And just so y'all know, you're already getting a lot of love, okay? So Candace says, I'm grateful to all of you. And then Andre is sending some hearts. And then Candace also says, yes, my fellow counselor. So it's already working. It's already happening. And we're already having conversations. And if you don't know yet, Candace was one of my panelists last week. And Candace came out and she just blew everybody away with her truth. So thank you so much. So let's get to the meat, okay? We're going to get to the meat. And then Andrea says she's watching live. Candace says she's watching live. Fantastic. So Andrea and Candace, do me a favor and share this video on your pages, and then tag people that you think should be watching it. And let's get the party started. So first question goes to Dante. Dante, why do you think it's important to share your own particular story?
It's a really good question. So I come from a small rural community, and it was not necessarily the easiest thing to come out at the time and place that I did, and so I definitely struggled and I felt alone. There was a classmate I had who identified as gay, and so we hung out, but I felt really different from him. Like we didn't really have similar interests, except that we both identified as gay, and um, so there were just times where I felt lonely, and I think that that's something that is not unique to my experience, and I don't think that it's unique to growing up in a rural community, isolated from a lot of other queer folk, but I think that one thing that I really hope people gain from me sharing my experiences is just remembering that, there might be times when you feel lonely, but there are other people out there who are like you, and there are other people out there who are different from you, but who are caring and compassionate beings. And it's really about working with both types of people, right? It's about being able to connect with those who are like you and who make you feel like you're not alone in your identity, but also about talking to others who have different experiences, so that we can all see that collectively we are this human family. And hopefully that will bring about the changes that we want to see faster, rather than seeing the shifts come generationally, come within our lifetimes. That's the hope. So yeah.
You are just, you're killing me already. Before we go any further, I want to give a shout out to Joy Park for joining the party, Darlene King for joining the party, Andrea Wichner Johnston for joining the party, and Candace, my queen, my princess, for joining the party. So just if you have any questions, please type them in the comment section. I'll make sure that the panelists get them. So let me just do a quick summary. Oh my God, Dante, coming from a rural part of the world, finding peers, experiencing loneliness, even when you found a peer. That is so important. And then knowing that there are other people like you. And I'm going to say this, and they don't know that I'm going to say this, but my son, when they were a baby, one of the songs they loved was Tarzan. And that song, I want to know, please show me. I want to know about the strangers like me. That is just, that song always comes to my mind when I think about they're strangers, but they're like you. And you can, they will never know that they're like you until you share your story. So I'm empowering you today to go and share your stories. Oh my God. Nnamdi, do you remember that song? Do you remember how much you like that song? That was one of the songs. Oh well, maybe they don't remember, but the mamas never forget. So I remember they love that song. They love Tarzan, and I'll be like, wait, did you just laugh at that scene like last week? Mom, play it again, play it again. I'm like, oh Lord, and it's like, but that's what mothers remember. So I want you to know that I'm empowering you today to share your story. So I'm going to hop on to Nnamdi since I called their name. So Nnamdi, tell us, answer the same question. Why do you think it's important to share your story? William is back on video. Yay. So Nnamdi, can you unmute yourself, sir?
Yes, answering the same question.
Yes, my darling.
Okay. Well, I think everybody has a story to tell. I think, or rather, I know that historically, those with power, aka white, cisgender, heterosexual people, systemically thwarted and stifled our abilities to tell our truths. They put it into law. They made it a sort of social norm within groups of friends, what is okay to talk about and what isn't. And it is dehumanizing to feel as if you aren't able to be honest with other people. And also, when you're not able to be honest with other people, it's harder to be honest with yourself. And I think, well, I know in my experience that I learned the most about myself and learned who I am through accepting what I was, in spite of being told by many different people, many different ways, not to accept who I was. And also, society is very committed to gaslighting queer individuals when they are being honest with themselves. So saying things out loud, writing things down, makes it harder to be gaslighted and makes it easier to prove to yourself over and over again that you are worthy of respect and worthy of love from yourself as well. So, me, when I tell my story, it's for me, it's for other people like me who I'm growing up in a time where it is becoming a bit more acceptable to come out for different reasons, um, but it's still not easy at all. It's a constant process that you have to choose to do or not to do with anyone you meet. Um, so I do this for me, for my younger self, for my future self, and I guess for me presently too.
When I say my child is smart, I hope y'all know that I'm not just bragging, pero es verdad. Uncommon wisdom. Did you get that from your mama? Just kidding, but thank you so much. I'm going to just do a quick summary. I mean, white, cisgender people. Look, I didn't go there. Okay, I didn't, I call myself the good troublemaker. I'll start the conversation, I'll light the spark. But this is the next generation. Being fearless, being authentic, owning their own truth. That, you know what, these are the people that or not made, but that caused this and made it okay to discuss certain things and not other things with certain people. And how, if you're not truthful with others, you're also not truthful with yourself. Such powerful words. Thank you so much. And I'm still trying to learn the word gaslighting. I'll get there. Okay. I was born in the 60s. I'm gonna just let y'all have that. But someone who is laughing and enjoying themselves is Asa. Asa, unmute yourself and tell my friend, my brother, and just someone that I love so much. Tell me, why do you think it's important to share your story?
So for me, I can only talk to my personal experience. And my coming out story, and the reason why I feel that my coming out story is one that should be shared, is because mine is different, as all of ours are. And when I say different, I mean I am an 80s baby. I am 37 years on this planet. And I know what it's like to grow up in a Black Pentecostal tradition, i.e., Church of God in Christ. And I know what it's like for missionaries and preachers and pastors to look at me over the pulpit and say, they look at me and then they look at my little brother and say, look at my brother, like, that's a boy. Now that's a boy. And totally remove me from what was possible within the construct of what manhood could be. And then also, being at the time that I did come out, I came out so later on in life. So I didn't have a quote unquote I Love Simon type of story. I came out when I was 30, after being married, after having a child. And literally, part of my coming out story was coming out to my child on the way to Dallas in the car at a speaking engagement. Like, being able to set up what it will take to not just understand what's going on with you, but to even consider what could possibly be happening in the mind of a little boy who I'm the father of. What could he be doing, and being able to mitigate that in a way that brings clarity and celebration to me and to him, so that when he looks at me and I say, well, at that point in time, I say, well, we talked about LGBTQ, and we went down the letters and saying, well, your daddy's a B, and he looking at me like, daddy, I'm straight. And then being able to celebrate his quote unquote straightness. So that's why I feel that my particular story is important, as all of our stories are important, because each one of us are able to connect with someone that each one of us could not reach if it wasn't for the other. So we are all necessary, we are all valued, and I think and believe that it's time that we are all seen and heard.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Thank you so much. And you know what? You're getting a lot of love. Candace says, that church heaviness. So she felt that. And then Andrea was like, phew, I was raised Catholic. Anybody else who was raised Catholic in the building? More. And you know what? I've never gone public with this story, but I might as well go public with it. And so when my son was younger, I was one of those parents. I was one of those parents that took them to the church to be prayed out. I don't know, is that the phrase now? To be for them to pray, oh, to pray the gayness out. And while I knew my child was gay between the ages of 2 and 3, and I've never had any problem with that. But one of the reasons I'm coaching parents is because I too was afraid. Me too, I was afraid. And I get emotional when I say that. Just the trauma that probably put them through. I too was afraid. And I used to say, God, why do they have to be? And you can see I still have to stop and think about the pronouns. I don't pretend to know it all. I'm like you, maybe literally one step ahead of you. I've been that parent that was like, oh my God, let's do something to fix them. Even though I knew in my heart, that's crazy. Even though I knew in my heart that I like women, I want you to hear this, and that my sister, and then I have family members, I still took my child to church, to someone to pray it out. So I want you all to know that I have no shame. It's my truth. It's who I was. It's not who I am anymore. And when you know better, you gotta do better. And so I know better. So I am doing better. But it's always gonna be a piece of me where I'm gonna be, I wish I didn't do that. But I did. But here we are though, at a better place, at a better relationship with me and them. And I have no shame owning who I used to be. And so, yes, the religion, it would toss a curved ball that just knocks something into you. You're like, I don't know, am I right or am I wrong? Knowing that your child is perfect, you still like, I don't know. So Asa, thank you so much for telling us that if you wait, if you delay, you will get married like I did. You will have 3 kids like I did, you know? And then maybe only then. Whew, thank you for going there. So we're going to hop on to William. William, I am loving that background. What? Yes, sir. William is my new friend. So Will, unmute yourself and tell us what's going on. Why is it important to share our stories?
Only when we know our individual truth can we begin to live authentically. And so I sincerely take that to heart, y'all. I well, I shared my story one because Dr. Lulu asked, but it's also not a story that for me, my coming out is not some major traumatic event that happened, so much so as it was part of my process, right? Um, I'm an only child. And so, as I was telling you earlier, I went and was going to do some activities with my mom. And so, as an only child, my mom has always loved me unabashedly for who I am. I'm completely, solely, wholly. I'm also the baby of my lineage of cousins on my mom's side, and I'm one of the older ones on my dad's side. My grandma loves me, my aunts, my uncles love me. I've never had any sort of malice. And I think part of what made my coming out a little easier is the fact that I always was I was always a do-right kid. And so as long as I've been a do-right person, I think that my sexuality and my sexual preferences just never was a major to do. And so that I feel like was what made it easier for me. But let's be clear, anytime you are doing something outside of the normal and you're also Black and you're meeting it at the intersectionality of any other marginalized community, you always hear the conversations and you hear the whispers and all the things. So why share it? Because it needs to be told. And it needs to be told in the aspect that I know someone else can relate to it. That even when you're the do right kid, you know, you still hear the things, you still know the things, you still know the murmurs, the rumors, the whispers. Um, it's part of a journey. As I was sitting there listening to Asa, and I kind of relate. I didn't come out late in life. I still don't feel like I've came out, if we're being 100% honest. I feel like I just lived my life, and damn it if you like it, damn it if you don't. Like I really don't give a. You can take what you will, but that's kind of where I want and hope that we become as a society, where it's you get to just live your life and who you bring home to table uh, to have a dinner. I just want to know, does the person brush their teeth? Do they have good dental hygiene? Because if you ain't got that together, that's my pet peeve, my personal pet peeve. So if your dental hygiene ain't together, I might have more issues with that. I don't care what you brought to the table. Do they got clean teeth? Did they see the dentist recently? Do they got gingivitis just kicking out their mouth? That's what we want to have conversations about. Not necessarily, oh, you brought home a guy, oh, you brought home a girl, or you brought home somebody that we're not quite sure what the hell to call them. That's part of, for me as a man who identifies as pansexual, was really important. I love you as the person that you are. And so yeah, I hope that helps part of the journey. And it's also interesting where I related with Asa, which I never brought back to fruition. As a parent, it's a whole other kind of journey, trying to navigate what you show, what you don't show, who you want to be as a parent, and while you're also parenting. So here we are.
Wow. Let me tell you something. Everyone is getting so much love. So Candace says, we talked about that church heaviness last week, and that is true. That's a true statement. Andrea says, oh my gosh, when my daughter went from lesbian to bisexual, I got really scared that she might end up trans. So this is the room of vulnerability, y'all. Andrea, thank you for going there. And I'm going to tell you why in a second. And then Candace says, I'm curious to know why you got scared. And then Andrea says, because I was hearing about the violence against Black trans people. And then Candace says, loving you regardless. And then she said, I understand. And then while William was speaking, she says facts with like 10 S's, William, getting a lot of love. And then Andrea says, I have a dream that one day soon nobody will need to come out. Ooh, I love that. That is so well said. That is so well said. And let me tell you why I said I'm going to come back to that later on. When my son came out as non binary, when we found out that they are non binary, a piece of me, and this is going to sound crazy, a piece of me actually for like 2 seconds wished they came out as trans because I always wanted to have a little girl. And so this is a true statement. I never told anybody. It doesn't matter. It was just for 2 seconds. But like she said, I was quickly slapped with, oh my God, there's so much violence against Black trans women. And my child, Papa, I'm going to call Papa just because I say Papa, I love Papa, always kind of reminds me of like which, when there's another violence act against, this is just what I call the trifecta: Black, American, and gay. And if you want to toss in male or identify male or being trans, it's such a bad connotation in the word. So I now understand why, because I just learned that it was the white cisgender, but it makes sense. It makes sense. I'm sorry about my necklace is trying not to behave, and you can't edit live. So, but this is so good that we're talking about this. So I'm going to hop on to Dante. Dante, what is your coming out story? What is it? What is it?
So for a really long time, I didn't give my own sexuality too much thought. And and it's kind of surprising. Like I think back and like try to think about memories, and I I think about like watching things on TV, like, oh, maybe I was paying more attention to the men and I just didn't really realize it. But it was a really slow realization for me. I think that it wasn't even until like late middle school where I started to think, oh, maybe I'm more interested in men than I am in women. And it was, once I started having those thoughts, I started piecing it together pretty quick. But it happened a little bit later than some of the other people I've talked to. It seems like others, including my partner, he realized whenever he was very young, and so I think it's just different for everyone. But uh, so I think it was my sophomore year of high school. It might have been my junior year, somewhere in that time frame. Um, I had been dating someone. My still my good friend to this day. Her name is Kate. I had come out as bisexual not too long before that to all of my friends at school, but I was realizing that I was in fact gay and not bisexual. As beautiful as I think women are, you are beautiful creatures. But just not my cup of tea when it comes to other stuff. So I, upon realizing this, recognized that I needed to break up with my girlfriend, and hopefully we could still be friends. And we're still really good friends to this day. But so break up with her, and this was the point where I realized, okay, I finally have to tell my mom. Like, I can't just hide behind, because honestly, even though I did truly believe I was bisexual, part of it for me was there's comfort in the fact of like, oh, I can just date women, and I won't have to really deal with this other aspect of my identity. And so I finally was confronted with the fact that I was going to need to accept myself for who I am, and also have this conversation with my mom, who I wasn't really concerned. It was kind of funny that I didn't tell her right away, because she was super accepting, and I knew this. But one thing that it's interesting as I hear you talk about your experiences, Dr. Lulu. I see kind of in the way that my mom reacted to me coming out. Not that I feel like she had a strong or bad reaction, but I know that she she expressed fear and concern about the way that society would treat me. Um, and it was just like, she did cry about it. And the truth is that those were some of the most loving tears I think that I've ever seen. And it's just, you see this person who's hurt, and it's not because of who you are, but because of what society might do to you because of who you are. And that, yeah, it's just really beautiful to have that happen. um and so that's the bulk of my coming out story. Of course, it is a continual process, and it is, not everybody, I don't tell everybody right away. There are people who it makes sense to tell, and then other times it's like, I just am talking to this person at a cafe. Do they need to know my sexual orientation? It's like, well, if it comes up, it comes up, and I'm not going to hide it. But yeah, I think that I'll be coming out forever, and hopefully, we will reach a point as a society, hopefully, where that is a thing of the past. But I think until that happens, it's important that we have these conversations so that we normalize the experiences of all of us, and we can be, as a society, more accepting of the diversity of experiences we have.
Wow. Look. Mic drop. But really, truly, Dante, you should consider writing a book. And the title, I think I'll be coming out forever. That is such a powerful sentence. This is so true. However, to your point and to Andrea's point, I wish there was a world where we didn't have to come out from anywhere, you know. And one of the things I'm learning now is because I'm in a lot of parents groups, I'm learning that some of the parents now, believe it or not, take the place of their child in the closet, and they become closeted parents of LGBTQ plus kids. I was like, is that a thing? But it's a thing. So thank you so much for talking about that. I'm going to also just review something that you mentioned: gender versus sexuality. I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to let Nnamdi do that because they're so eloquent in the way they say it, and I want they're also the youngest person in the room. So I want them to give the people, the viewers, the difference between gender and sexuality, because I knew when they were between 2 and 3, and many parents I've spoken to say, you know, we're just waiting for our kid to come out because we already knew that they were. And so how powerful could that be if only the kids and the parents could be in sync? How much sooner possibly the kids will come out. But I'm going to leave that out and then just mention that you said, I finally had to tell my mom. I'm going to take a second and say happy Mother's Day to all the mothers of all the people, the panelists, and of everyone who's watching today. Happy Mother's Day. But don't I love it's a need to know basis? And I'll just throw it back at the heterosexuals. You don't walk around and say, hi, I'm the heterosexual doctor. No, you just say, hi, I'm the doctor, right? And then, yeah, well, if you're gonna come, I'm gonna bring my wife, you know, something like it's just gonna come out as a normal conversation. It shouldn't be, oh, hi, I'm the gay doctor. What's going on? You don't say, hello, I'm the heterosexual cook. No. So I wish we would just quit putting pressure on us. And I don't know, I don't even know why I said that, but I just wanted to say that. So we're gonna hop on to Papa Nnamdi, right, to Nnamdi. So Nnamdi, can you do us a favor and please, if you can, if you don't mind, unmuting yourself and tell us the difference between gender and sexuality, if just in your own words. Thank you.
Of course, yeah, I'd love to talk about that. Um, well, I guess I'd also want to add one more category, which is sex, because I think a lot of people get gender and sex confused, and also sex is in sexuality, so that's weird too. Well, um, so sex refers to your chromosomes. Um, a lot of people will also connect that to what you were designated at birth by a doctor.
Yes.
Um, so there are many sexes. The most common sexes we know are male and female, but there are many sexes, and I'm sure Dr. Lulu is familiar with the different sexes and how common or uncommon they are. Society, for many reasons, most of them related to capitalism um, and colonialism, have or has made it to where there are only two acceptable sexes, and obviously that causes a lot of problems. There's also gender. Gender. Well, gender comes from the word genre, and it's a way of categorizing people, categorizing things. Gender has expanded recently, as in the 2010s, to mean so many different things. But gender, there's presentation and then there's identification. So you can identify as a man, but you can present in a feminine way. Most people generally identify and present in similar ways just because that's how society likes us to behave, and because we just as humans tend to be that way, but that isn't by no means the case for everyone. And more people are realizing that they've only presented in a certain way because that's what they were forced to present as. And it's all a spectrum that's very fluid and changes from day to day for everyone. So that's gender. And then sexuality used to be called sexual preference, but that's outdated because we know now, or rather, doctors know now, that people do not choose, in most cases, who they find attractive or who they choose to have sex with. Or rather, they do choose who to have sex with. They do not choose who they find attractive. Um, and then it changed to sexual orientation, which is nice. I prefer sexuality because it it covers a lot more than just who you prefer to have sex with. It also talks about what you like to do in sex, what your boundaries are, things like that. Um, so I didn't really talk about my sexuality before when I introduced myself. I identify as queer. I also identify as non-binary. And my story of how that came to be, I assume I can go into my coming out story now.
Oh yes, no, but you know what? I do want to say thank you. Please, can we just give this human being that just happens to have come out of my vajayjay some snaps, because I didn't even know. I mean, this is why they graduated at the top of their class at Stanford. And I'm not kidding when I say they got the award for best graduate. So it is important that we give honor when it's due, because imagine if I had stifled this mind. Imagine what. Thank you. Thank you, son. I'll take that. Thank you, son. I appreciate it so much. I didn't know that. And I'm trying to write a book. And I didn't even know that there's gender, sex, and sexuality. I only knew gender and sexuality. So you see, I'm a lifelong learner. So I appreciate it. Now go ahead and tell us your coming out story. Sorry, I took your shine a little bit there.
No, no problem. I also think anybody who's interested in these topics should do their own research, because I'm not a specialist or anything like that. I just enjoy talking about these things, but there's a lot more to learn. Okay, so as far as my coming out story, um, so there's my sexuality and then there's my gender. So from a young age in kindergarten, I remember I would on the playground like play with mostly girls. I was friends with everyone, but I would play with girls a lot. And when I was playing with girls, I would like put my sweater on my head to like, I don't know, act like I had longer hair, because that was what I saw as like exploring femininity at that time. Obviously, I know femininity isn't tied to length of hair now. But at that time in my head, I was like, okay, like I'm hanging with girls and I want to embody this femininity. So I'm going to put my sweater on my head. And I went to a Baptist Christian school, and the teachers, weirdly enough, were not unsupportive. I don't remember them making comments really. And I think they really liked me because I performed well in class. So I guess they just didn't have a problem with how I was on the playground. Um, Fast forward to about fifth grade, I started having weird feelings about the boys in my class. They weren't sexual by any means, but they definitely weren't platonic. They were just weird, and I didn't know how to categorize them. And so I didn't know what to do with that, but it didn't really affect anything in school. I kept it to myself. And I think at that time I faked that I liked girls. But now looking back, it really was me trying to say I saw them as really good friends, and I just assumed, well, this must mean I like them because I don't know what else this means. Going into sixth grade, we moved to North Carolina, and I went to a public school, and it was the first time that I experienced bullying. Um, it was quite vicious. Um, from on Once I got on the bus, there was this person that lived in my neighborhood and would constantly just say really horrible things and speak to me in a really dehumanizing way. Um, Nobody really stood up for me, although at that age, it's really difficult to do that. It's difficult to do that now. I think people have trouble now as adults sticking up for people. So honestly, I don't hold it against anyone at that age for not saying anything. This person was also very good at making fun of people and getting more people to join in or like not care about it. Because of this, I developed really horrible self esteem and my grades suffered heavily in middle school. This bullying continued through seventh grade, and I had the lowest moments of my life during that time. I contemplated suicide multiple times. And honestly, the thing that got me through that was my music, which I can thank my mom for because my mom started me on, or sorry, I can thank Dr. Lulu for because Dr. Lulu started me, or rather, I should say my mom, because in this context, it's my mom. My mom started me on piano when I was a child, and I ended up hating piano because the piano industry is so difficult, but I eventually picked up flute. Um, and I fell in love with the flute, and it really kept me going. That and Mariah Carey kept me going. And um, luckily, I joined band in 8th grade. Plus, in 7th grade, the bully broke my glasses, so he was kicked off the bus, which actually reduced a lot of the bullying by a lot. And my mom is the reason that that escalated to that point because I told her because I came home without glasses and I couldn't hide it anymore. Um, and so, uh, 8th grade was a little bit better because I started to focus more on academics because I could easily excel in those. And I also focused a lot on music, and it was the first time that I placed in a competition, and it gave me such joy that I was able to work hard and achieve something in music. So then in 9th grade, we moved to Texas, and it was definitely the best thing my mom could have done for me. Although she didn't do it specifically for me, but um, having a new environment with people who didn't know who I was allowed me to reinvent myself and decide on my terms what I wanted to share with my peers. Because one of the most dehumanizing um, parts of the bullying I experienced in middle school is I was stripped of my agency to let other people know that I was gay. I was outed before I was ready, which is one of the worst things you can do to someone, especially when you're outed in a context where that is mocked as opposed to supported. So when we moved in 9th grade, um, I realized, okay, in this context, I want to focus on academics and I want to focus on my music because I love those two things, or I love music and I can do well in academics. And so I didn't really think too much about my sexuality. I didn't experiment or have sex at all in high school. I didn't really do anything because I was so stressed and focused on music and academics. But I started questioning religion at that point in time, and that was pretty heavily tied to the Catholic Church's views on homosexuality at that time. I think they've evolved since then. But either way, I realized at that point that I think senior year is whenever I came out as atheist. My mom was not happy about that, but at that time, I can't blame her because that is just, I mean, she'd never had any reason to question her beliefs up to that point. And so when I went to college, I specifically looked for colleges that were far away from home, not to get away from home, but because I wanted another place where I could reinvent myself and really explore my sexuality. And so I went to California, Stanford, and I'm very happy I went there because it was close to San Francisco, which is um, it's it's a gay urban center, at least on the West Coast, and it wasn't what I expected it to be. It was very white, and I wasn't ready for that. I really expected to be welcomed and celebrated, and that was not what happened. But I found great black friends, great black queer friends, and I did a lot of reading and I did a lot of listening and learning and talking with other people who had been thinking about this already, professors and students alike. And I had my first relationship with a man in this summer after my first year of undergrad. At that time, I still identified as a gay man. I hadn't really thought too much about my gender since in kindergarten, I guess. And then junior year of college, or summer before junior year of college, I interned at the Office of LGBTQ Affairs in Santa Clara County, in the SF Bay Area. And that was the first time that I experimented using they, them pronouns. I came to work and I told my supervisor and my coworkers I use they, them pronouns. And it was the Office of LGBTQ Affairs, so everybody there was queer and trans. So they had no problem. And the way it like rolled off of their tongue, like so naturally, just in my heart, it was something resonated really deeply. And I was like, okay, I know for sure, like, I like to use they, them pronouns. I don't know what that means about my gender yet, but I know that's what I want to use. I know I want people to address me by that. So during junior year, I was still experimenting with my sexuality, but at that point, I started telling my friends I use he, him, and they, them pronouns. And they were all very accepting and worked to change that in their vocabulary. Then by senior year, I was an RA. I decided to be an RA senior year. And so that was the first time that I told people I'd never met before in my residence that I only use they them pronouns. And it was interesting because they weren't necessarily my peers. They were younger than me, and I had to take care of them. I had an obligation, so I was like a mandatory reporter. So our relationship was definitely not like peers, although I tried to be that for them when they needed it to be. Um, and then the pandemic happened, and obviously everybody was radicalized in many ways because of what was happening on the streets and what was happening around the world as well. And that is whenever it was funny. I kind of was outed again by my school. Our final celebration or like graduation for the music department, they referred to me using they them pronouns because that's what everybody at the music department used that for me. And so my mom was also watching the ceremony, and I won this prize, and I also performed or submitted a pre-recorded performance. My mom was like, "Wait, what? Like, use they them pronouns? Like, why didn't you tell me?" And I was like, "Oh, well, because of other reasons. Like, I didn't expect you to be supportive." And I'm not gonna lie, it was definitely a journey to get my mom on board with this. She was quite resistant um, up until and through me coming here to Boston. It was definitely a work in progress with her, but now here I am. I'm queer and non-binary, still learning, still growing. I don't know what I'll be in a year's time. I know what I am now, and I just want to be able to tell other people that it's okay not to know where you will be in the future, but it's so utterly important to be in tune with who you are in the present. Um, yeah.
I can't. Asa, please take over. I can't. Thank you so much. I can't. It doesn't take, it takes, I think there are very few times in my life when I can't speak. And truly, if a mother ever loved their son, I love this child so much. So I can't. Asa, just go ahead and tell us your story, because I'm just thank you for sharing with me. I tell the story, but I can't tell it as beautifully as you do. So thank you. And I do have an ugly cry, but I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
So first off, to Dante and Nnamdi, thank you for sharing your stories so far. I have much love here for you in these moments. And William, when you share yours, I have love for you as well. Um, so again, my name is Asa Laveau, and my coming out story begins with the fact that I had fell in love with a man before I had fell in love with myself. I was 31 years of age. At that time, I was a captain in the Army. I was stationed in El Paso, Texas. I had also become an entrepreneur. I had reached such successes as publishing 4 books up until that time, had been featured in Black Enterprise and Huffington Post. And all of that didn't matter because at that time, I felt as though I was living a lie. I felt as though someone was going to see the fragile threads of my life and out me in a way that would cause harm to me as well as my family, to include my son, my SON as well as my SUN. And it took the love I had for that man to realize that I was not operating truthfully. I am someone since I was 6. If I happen to be your boyfriend, guess what? Everybody was about to know. because I choose to love out loud, love in color, and this new experiencing of loving someone with the same reality as me was new. However, I knew what love was, and I knew what love tasted like. And I'm just not willing to have something taste good and not tell nobody about it. I'm just not willing to do that. I've never had. And so I chose to not necessarily come out, but pick those individuals in my life that I wanted to allow to come in. I needed them to come in and feel the feelings that I was feeling and feel the joy I was having. And sometimes as Black and gay, Black and queer, Black and pan, Black and lesbian, Black and trans folks, we don't always talk about the joy. There is some beautiful and audacious and aspiring joy on this side of the closet. Just making sure that you all know that. So I'm speaking to somebody that may be actually having a struggle. I struggle not. My sexuality, my identity is no longer a struggle, it's a joy. And I am letting you know and giving you new data that there is joy here for you. There is love here for you. And as I began to allow people to come in, I was met with many different responses, which I will tell you a few. The one response came from a friend. I didn't ask anybody to share their names, so I'm respecting their identities. So we'll just say I had a friend named R. And his response was, oh my God, I have another queer friend to do things with. Like finally, I have somebody to go to the gay club with. I got somebody to go to ballrooms with. I got somebody to send gay memes to. Like he was excited. He was totally thrilled. And then it was time to showcase this news to my mother. And my mother, a child of the 60s, a child of Pentecostal rearing, I often heard her say these terms like, "Ooh, girl, he got a little sugar in his tank." Like, we don't do that. That's not what we do here. So I was very much aware of the total misuse of queer folks, the total just pissosity in the voices of the people that surrounded me when they talk about queer people. Say that again.
I was gonna say disregard, but I'm thinking just total
Yes,
disregard.
thank you. The disregard, that's the word I was looking for. Thank you. So yes, the total disregard for queer identities in the spaces of the Black community as well as in the church community. And even though she had transitioned a little bit, she had started out, a deaconess in the Church of God in Christ. Every single November we drove from Oklahoma to Memphis to the Holy Convocation. Like I'm like that kind of coach. So like every November we did that. And then transitioning into non-denominational, and then transitioning into her being a pastor, and then her eventually going to seminary, not Bible college, there is a difference, going to seminary and getting some actual understanding, not just about what someone's idea or hermeneutical approach of the Bible from the year 1870 was, but the actual, canons of what Christ taught, and the different canons of what the disciples and all those things and how it related to people. And then even seeing her being so understanding that she even started to marry gay individuals. However, when it came to her eldest son, that was not the case. It's easy to marry two white men who are colleagues of yours, but to have the little chocolate boy that you breastfed to tell you they are in love with a man and disrupt what is culturally acceptable, and to consider that they are totally deconstructing what is acceptable as far as the male identity or Black masculinity in a way that is um, totally disappropriate and unhonoring of our ancestors was a totally different thing. Because that's what my mother and her friends and the system and the culture I grew up with felt about Black men identifying as queer or something other than quote unquote straight, was that somehow we were taking this mythological dysfunction that had come as a result of the transatlantic slave trade with barebacking or buck breaking and things of this nature. Somehow we were just scum. We were the leftovers of what our ancestors prayed for. Literally, not figuratively. We were going against everything that was from the motherland. Because to be us was to dishonor the Black slave experience, which a lot of my family felt as the only experience that mattered. So, with that, I thought, is this the right thing to do? Am I going to allow my mother at this stage in my life to, for the first time in my life, be sick and disgusted by me? Will I actually allow this to happen now? But if not now, when? So I called her. I was in uniform at the military base at lunchtime and called her. I told her that I had fell in love with a man who was beautiful. And baby, he was fine. No. Fine. I'm talking about drink your bathwater shit, Avery fine. So, so as I'm telling her about this new love that makes my toes curl and my belly grin, she got silent. My words of enthusiasm were not landing well. There was a pucker effect happening on the other end of the phone. And even though we were only one state away, I could have been on Pluto. We were separated by galaxies of the mind, for sure, in this moment. And the only thing that she really responded with was, "Are you sure? Maybe this is just a face." I was like, "Mama, did you forget I was born in 1983? Like, I'm over 30. Like, phase my ass. Like, this, babe, no, this is me. Like, it took all this time just to get to tell you. Like, I didn't just kiss a guy and I liked it. No, this is real." She then hung up. And during this moment, these days that passed, because I'm a little Black boy that talked to his mama every day. No matter how big I got, I talked to my mama every day. And during this time, I felt as though I had been orphaned. I felt as though there was a part of me that had become the totality of me. And that part was not warranted, loved, appreciated, understood, seen, valued, and I felt sick. I felt sick that I could be the thing to make my mama cry. Because in the Black culture, in the Black African American tradition, we don't make our mamas cry. We do anything but to make our mamas cry. And I had, and I sat with that. I worked in that. I slept in that. I ate in that. I moved in that for days. Finally, I get a call from my mom. After I say hello, the very first thing that she wants to know is if I am a top or a bottom. That's her first response. Are you a top or are you a bottom? Why? Because like I say again, in the African American tradition, there is an idea that to have a man child that is feminine or something other than what has been historically valued is to rip away a possibility of our lineage, is the possibility that the idea of us being an endangered species is that much more real for us because now we're becoming endangered from within and not just from other outside entities and forces. And to be a top is to mean, okay, we can deal with you because you're still acting as though as a Black man should, and you still are the aggressor, and you are still violent, and you are still worthy. But to be a bottom is to consider that everything we put into you was for nothing, and everything that our ancestors prayed and cried and hoped and shouted for was done in vain, because you are not what the ancestors prayed for. You are the vileness vomit that is on the deck of the ship that came over, literally. And so, even though I was disgusted by the question, I knew that the answer would allow her the breathing room to be with me again. And so I violated the sanctity of my queerness to pacify, to receive the love of my mother. And then lastly, I had to let my son know, who again, my S-O-N and my S-U-N. His name is Adonis. I named him right. I came out to him after much thought and consideration, because everything that I had read, everything that I had heard said to tell your child would be to confuse him purposefully. Why does your child need to know who you sleep with? Well, my identity has nothing to do with my actual bedroom activities. Because see, you can be a virgin and be gay. You can be a virgin and be pan. You can be a virgin and be lesbian. Or you can get down with the whole life, baby. That H-E-A-U-X and get it in all day. I understand that too. And so I was I just considered, like, should I do this? Should I really do it? And I've already talked about what that process was like, driving down to a speaking engagement in Dallas, Texas, telling him on the way, prefacing it with what does LGBTQ stand for, going through all the letters, making sure that he understood, and then saying your daddy is a B. At that time, I identified as bisexual. And then him saying, oh, you like boys and girls? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, Now he's like 7. He's like, I'm straight, daddy. And I was like, that's dope. Like, be straight. Like, that's dope. Please understand that you don't have to be like me to be worthy. You don't have to be like me to be valued. You don't have to be like me to be special. You are good because I made you, baby. Like, I had a part to play in your being here. Like, that's why you're dope. And then watching him view me in my identity, and even put things like pulling up to a gas station in a drive-through, ordering him a slushie, and him looking over and him seeing the guy in the drive-through look at me a certain way and saying, Daddy. I'm like, yeah, he's your type. Like, yeah, he your type. And I gotta admit, I do like pretty people. I really do. So he knows his daddy. And I asked him a few years ago, I said, Adonis, I had a struggle coming out to you to tell you about that. And I was told, and I was set down and explained that, I should probably do that to you when you were probably maybe even 16. And my son has never looked at me with such, his look was articulate, like he was very tuned into me. And he said, Daddy, if you did that, I'd be so mad at you. And I wasn't ready for that response. Like, you would have been mad at me for not telling you? He said, why would you keep you away from me? And so, because of him, is a reason why I do what I do now. And another reason why I do what I do now, because part of my coming out story, I was already an entrepreneur. And guess who lost every single client when they came out? Guess who stopped receiving phone calls to go speak? Guess who designers literally said they would not design my work because how I identify? Who literally would tell people that? And so that's why I'm so unabashed and unafraid of identifying as America's #1 entrepreneur coach, because I know what it's like to have your entire life and business structure pulverized by how you identify, and having to rebuild, and even just clients not even willing to give you testimonials because they're saying, well, my church friends will then know I work with you, so I don't want to give you a testimonial, even though you did great work for me. So that's what it's like to come out as an 80s baby born in Oklahoma who identifies as pansexual.
Asa, oh my God. Okay, I found my voice back. So I'm going to do Asa and Papa. I'm going to call them Papa because I do call them Papa. I've called them Papa since they were, 12 hours old. So Asa and Papa, thank you so much for your testimony. I think it gets rosier. And William, no pressure, okay? No pressure. We're having the most amazing, but look at how beautiful this is. Look at just I'm so thankful that I'm doing this. I mean, you know what? I'm going to pat my doggone self in the back here, because I don't think in the history of America with 3 Ks has anything like this been done. And by the way, y'all, I think we may need to do part 2 because it's already an hour and a half and we haven't even done William's story yet. But not before I go around to say what I've learned from both. Well, you know what? Forget about me. Let's look at the comments, because the comments are on fire. Okay, so I gotta go back because I want people to know that I do want them to leave their comments, okay? So when Papa was speaking, someone said, oh wait, let me go back all the way back. Ooh, Papa, you just, okay. So someone said, right. I'm not sure what you said at that time, but someone said right. And then Candace said awesome. And then Palu, another doctor, said, very profound concepts. This is a beautiful show and your guests are brilliant. Revealing their vulnerabilities helps viewers learn and thus expand our minds. Much respect. So that was when Papa was speaking. And then I said, thank you. And then Ashley Elliott says, when you feel seen, it's such a beautiful thing. And she wrote that when Papa mentioned working in San Francisco with people who it rolled out of their tongue, the they, them, and just the fact that they felt seen. And so she says, when you feel seen, it's such a beautiful thing. If you're watching this show, This is called the Black and Gay in America show. The show, well, series. The show is Ask Coach Lulu. Please send me a DM if the show touched you. Share it on your platform if the show touched you. Don't be afraid to share, okay? Don't be afraid, because we need it to be an ally, but also be an active ally. So please share. And then Candace said, all I can say is wow. I think that's when I started crying. And then Andrea says, I'm speechless. I'm speechless too when I said I was speechless. And then Candace says, love that taste. Asa, Candace says, love that taste of love and being authentic. When you said the taste of love. And then Paulo says, how did you know what love tasted like? Who created that first image of love for each one of you? So that's the question for all of y'all. This is great. So I just want you to know that you are touching hearts. Dr. Lulu, you're doing a good job. Andrea says there is joy, and I'm not sure when she said there is joy, and I missed that. And Paulo says, wow, feeling orphaned. All mothers need to hear this and learn. I think, if anything, it's validating my doing this, because I've been doing this. I know y'all can't tell, but I've been doing each of these episodes afraid. I know that people, it's not a topic anybody wants to talk about. Really. Even I have to remind myself, okay, all right. Breathe in peace and breathe out love. Just go ahead and do it, girl. Don't be afraid. I learned that yesterday. But you know what? Every time I do this, I'm not as brave as y'all think. I bullshit my way through it, but that's okay. People like Asa and Papa and Dante and William, honey, y'all are making me, and then everyone that's watching is making me feel that way. Kenya says, greetings, everyone. And then Andrea says, I'm wondering if this top and bottom thinking really comes from white supremacy. And I think there's one of us in this room, there's none of us in this room that doesn't think that that's probably the origin of it. And then Kenya says, at Asa, I just want to hug you. So, and then Allison says, Asa, I love your insight. The poetic manner in which you articulate yourself is mind-blowing. I told you guys that Asa was in the building, was going to be fun. So, everyone is getting love, don't get me wrong. And then William says the top-bottom dynamic is mostly based in the construct of what folks consider to be masculine/feminine. That is very much seen in the Hispanic, Latinx culture, either machismo, that is machismo. It is the fallacy of folks assuming that as a top, you are a dominant person, and as a bottom, you're submissive. However, if you know anything about the BDSM community, then you know that that is not true. But it is especially true in the African American community. I don't know what is BDSM, so I'm going to ask you that in a second. But thank you so much for sharing the insights. And you know what? I have to, because I'm learning. Look at Papa is smiling. And I'm not afraid to say what I don't know. I'm learning. But I have to touch a little bit on what Asa said. Asa said, total disregard. Oh yeah, I remember you saying I picked those in whom I needed to come out to, something like that. It was like you said, those needed to come in. I think you kind of flipped it that way. It said, not people I came out to, but those that I wanted to come in, which I thought is amazing. And then you said there was total disregard of the queer folk. And you said this awesome phrase, mythological dysfunction. I'm like, love it. And then total dishonoring of our ancestors, and we're leftovers, we're scum. My goodness. I don't even know. And of course, the phrase was, are you sure? Or the sentence was, are you sure? That is the title of your book, my friend, okay? Have you guys noticed how I'm giving everybody the title of their books? Are you sure? And then you said, I felt sick, and I made my mama cry. So I guess, Papa, you're already in the jail because you made your mama cry, 3 times already today? So you should be sick. So heterosexuals, I wanted to mention that many people forget that heterosexuals give birth to homosexuals. And so sometimes there's that mentality that they forget that really, and I don't like to use the word homosexual. I don't care for that word. But I just want to remind you, yes, you. No, you, heterosexuals, yeah, they give birth to homosexuals. And then last but not least, why would you keep you away from me? I can't even read my own handwriting. That's the subtitle of your book. Your own child asking you, but dad, why would you keep you away from me? And that is to say, for those people who say the same thing, when I told my mama that Papa was gay, she said, bring the holy water. Don't say that again. Oh my goodness. It's evil, you know? But I'm so glad that we're here talking about the fact that, and I'm going to toss in the medical aspect of it, that gender awareness occurs before the age of 3 for most people, y'all. And I like to say that because that means if a cis male knows that they are in the body of a boy, male, whatever, at the age of 3, you know where I'm going with this. Exactly. So don't tell your trans child at 7 or 9 or 13 or whatever age that are you sure, because at the age of 3 they've been known. And Papa mentioned kindergarten, isn't that 4? I mean, just so you know that this is not, we're not making up this stuff. But thank you all so much. William, I think we probably have enough time to get your coming out story, and then I'm going to ask all the panelists if you all will be okay with coming back to do part 2, because as you know, we didn't touch 5 of the questions. We didn't touch like 7 of the questions, but I think today, even the little bit that we touched on has been awesome. So if you're watching me, please click share and tell someone about this, because I don't know when they're going to come back, but there's going to be a part 2 for sure. So William, my friend, I'm going to open the doors for you and have you close us out with your own coming out. So you have a lot of insights about the top, but I'm just learning all of that. So what is BDM? Hold on, what were those alphabets? I forget. BDSM, and then of course, tell us your coming. I mean, if you don't want to, you don't have to, because Papa is not. That's the first time Papa smiled today. So, all right, you don't have to tell me if you don't want to, William. I'm asking what maybe other people are also asking. My name is I'm done speaking.
I say BDSM is there's so many variations of it, but what's commonly known as is the bondage, dominance, sadist, masochist community. Think historically, mind you, for people who don't have a lot of exposure to it, think your whips, your chains, your sex slings, etc. A lot of those activities are somewhat whips and paddles. Like those are things that you typically associate with the BDSM community. But a lot of people will actually understand this thanks to Pose. Pose, there was spoiler alert. So at least for like the next 30 seconds, the gentleman that Elektra put into the cage, and they went off and they had the girls' day, and she read that filthy trick at at lunch that day. That gentleman, he would probably be considered, from all intents of what it looked like, he looked like he was probably a powerful white man who probably did Wall Street business, making really good money, and yet he subjected himself to be humiliated or controlled or whatever his purpose is for by Elektra. He was submissive to her, despite the fact that on the outside, that man looked like he was probably a really good dominant man. So that's the reason why I brought that up, where it's this dichotomy that happens, because just because I look one way in certain areas, I might behave a different way in the bedroom, and you actually see that quite often, especially for folks who are in high powerful positions where they need to submit a little bit, so that way they can not have to worry about it, because there is the psychology of having to have all those responsibilities when you're always the person on top. So if you're doing that outside of your bedroom, you might need to submit a little bit in the bedroom, but that's a whole nother conversation, y'all, for another day.
I know about the show Pose, but I don't watch it, but I've seen it before. And so, but I appreciate you bringing it to something that people can relate to. So thank you so much. But you can go ahead and share.
Just a little bit.
Oh, wait, y'all. Oh. Somebody says, look at all those smiles. I think whenever I ask the question, and then part two. Yes, part two, please. Thank you all to the beautiful panelists and Dr. Lulu. This was so good. So necessary to hear these individuals' experiences. Thank you all so much. All right, listen, let me make you guys put your mouth where your fingers are. If you want to see the panelists come back for part two, I want y'all to blow up the comment section. I want to hear, yeah, everybody type, what should they type? What should they type? What word?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yes. Okay. Everyone, somebody's laughing. Okay, go ahead.
Just say yes.
Okay, just say yes. Just say yes if you want to see the panelists back because they are
Deny what you
so you have to say yes so that they will feel the energy. Okay. Say yes. All right, William, take it away.
Again, everybody, I'm William. He, him, his pronouns. Super single. Because you got to put yourself out there on the market if you want somebody to come bite. Coming out, right? Coming out to me, I kid y'all not when I tell you I've never felt like I've necessarily come out, but I realized that there was a process that is a coming out story of sorts. So I'm gonna take y'all back real quick. So I identify as pansexual. For a good portion of my life, I identified as bisexual. When can I recall the first time that I liked a guy? I was 5 years old. I kid you not. I remember being on the playground and I wanted to kiss Jennifer, right? Jennifer was this little pretty white girl. And I remember going, ooh, I want to kiss her. But Jennifer dated Mark. And Mark had that writer strong, boy meets world, kind of like bad boy look to him. And I remember thinking, ooh, I want to kiss him too. And I commenced to kiss Jennifer, but not Mark. Whole other story, right? But it was a feeling. I legit can tell y'all, I had this guttural feeling of wanting to kiss that young man and that young girl when I was 5. So what the hell does that mean? Here I am now at 36. I know that I've liked boys for a long damn time. Coming out has not necessarily been this grand gesture on my end, so much so as like I said earlier, I just did what the hell I wanted to do, and damn it if you liked it, damn it if you didn't. My concern was always that my mom loved me and that my mom respected me, and by extension, my grandmother, my paternal grandmother, my father's mother. And cousins, if any of you are watching this, we all know that I'm grandma's favorite. Everybody has already discussed it amongst themselves. So it's not, I'm not making this up. I didn't think I was grandma's favorite for the longest, and my cousins had told me they deemed me grandma's favorite. And after I looked back on it, I realized, yeah, they might be right for a myriad of reasons. Now, as adults, grandma loves us all. We all know this. But my mama and my grandma, did they love me? Did they care about me? Did they still want to see that I could be a great person? Yeah. Okay, cool. I didn't give a shit. So I realized throughout my life where I'm really fortunate is that I always had some sort of person within the LGBTQ community who has been a part of my life. And so it was not some foreign idea or some foreign concept. I can remember the neighbor who was clearly gay, had a little sweetness about him, but I didn't know what the hell that was at that time. He just was different. It was him. But he was at the card parties. Anytime there was a cookout, family gatherings, we came to find out later in life that we were all related and cousins and just distant, didn't even know it. He was always there. I get to 5th grade, middle school. My mom has other friends, they're gay, and now identify somewhere along the trans spectrum as well, who were always there, always present. Janet Jackson holds a very special place in my heart because I can recall them breaking down the scene on the video If, where they do y'all know what I'm talking about, the breakdown. Dun, 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 dun. They did the whole breakdown and I watched them dissect it, these beautifully gay, trans, Black folks who were always there, always present, always had this beautiful image, always were fun, always appropriate. because I hate this fallacy that you have had to been touched in order for you to be gay. And no, chop. That's not how
Oh
that
my
works,
God,
man.
wait,
That's
wait,
not how that
wait,
works.
wait, I have to
I
say
hate that.
something. Wait, William, I have to
I,
say something.
ugh,
William, wait. William, wait, I have to say something. Because you can't see it, but the question number 10 that I didn't write in the group was that myth. It was going to be that. So thank you for bringing, because we're going to do that next time. But thank you so much for validating that myth that everybody is turned gay because they were touched. Thank you. Go
oh
ahead.
my God. Can I legitimately hate it because just as easy as I could have been turned anything other than straight, I could have been turned straight again, right? I've had sex with girls. I got a kid. I promise y'all, I wasn't trying to be what I thought that society was going to hate. And I tried girls and exclusively girls, and it didn't work because, God damn it, there was that pretty ass Mark. Mm. I'm thinking about my 5-year-old self who just fell in love with Mark, y'all. It was a lot. It was hot. It was hot. I was hot in the pants. Little hoe. Didn't even know what HEUX. Okay. Um, I just was. It just thank you, Jasmine Sullivan. But it was always a thing. And so throughout my life, I always had these sort of people who were there who were able to tell, share their stories, share their experiences that I just happened to relate to in some sort of fashion or way. But it also never truly felt fully like me because I did still like girls. I still very much do today at 36. I just like those who like me. If you dope, I'm dope. I don't care how you identify what's between your legs, how you decide. All I care about is that you're a confident person and know that when you're with me, that I'm gonna be there to fight for you 130% of the way because you're mine. And I know that sounds very possessive, y'all. I promise y'all I'm not possessive. But if you my shit, you my shit. So I'm gonna be there to help protect you. And I'm not gonna let anyone disrespect you as long as I'm around and you're my shit. And I hope you kind of got that sort of same possession against about me too, if we're together in that aspect, that capacity, because that's not fair for anyone to have to walk around here when we're already marginalized. So part of my journey had been that I've always had someone there to show me that it's okay to just be me. And as long as my mama loved me, as long as my granny loved me, we were cool. The only time I can tell y'all that I feel like I legitimately lied would have been in the 11th grade where one of my classmates, Jeff, uh, asked, was the only person who ever asked the correct question. Because everybody would ask me, are you gay? No, I'm not gay. Because it didn't fit. The shoe didn't fit. I like to play basketball just like y'all do. I play a little, I like to go play football around up the street sometimes, you know. I've been in a couple of my fights. Um, nah, I'm not gay. And straight didn't feel right either. And one person, only one person asked me about it. And it was the one time I felt like I genuinely lied. And after that, I had to live with that. So I'm sure he's watching, right? But I apologize for lying to you in the 11th grade because you're the one person who asked the right question. And you're the only person I ever lied to about it because it was a lie. It felt right, but it didn't feel right. But I didn't know either. I didn't know. I'm so sorry, dog. I'm so sorry. But it's part of the journey. I came out telling friends slowly, um, identifying as bisexual. Um, the guys who I dated, they know who they are. They knew. I never lied to anybody about it, but it was a journey. It was part of a process. And the one time I could feel like I genuinely had a coming out moment probably would have been college because I did a training on LGBTQ issues after I was a member of the gay lesbian organization in college. Um, because above everything else, for some of us, our conversations tend to be I realized I was gay first, and then I was told I was black, or I was black and I was gay. I can tell y'all the very first thing that I can recall is being called a nigger before I was called a faggot. And so for me, I knew I was black. I've always known I was black. Some people have different stories to each their own. For my journey, my story was that I was black, and I couldn't change this. I was told how beautiful it is. I know all about this loving skin, and I can't change it. I don't want to change it. It empowers me. Do you know what the hell somebody had to go through to let me get here? There was a whole damn ocean somebody had to cross for my black ass to exist here today. And so, because of that power, that strength, that love, that unity that I've gotten from my community, it empowered me to be able to just live my life truly unauthentic, unabashedly and authentically. So that way I could just be the pansexual William that you see here today. My blackness, I promise y'all, is the thing that helped empower all that, because I was always told I was a strong black man. I was always told I was a strong black something, educated black man. I'm a black this, I'm a black father. I'm a lot of black things. And I knew through my blackness that I could be whatever the hell I wanted and needed to be. And so it empowered me to say, I'm gonna just live however I want. And if you like it, cool. If you don't, I guess we don't rock with each other in that aspect. I'm also a true believer that there is something divinely important in this world that is meant to allow me to succeed, because someone did have to cross an ocean in order for me to exist today. And when I tell you I feel that in the core of my spirit, I feel that on such an existential point of view of my world, my life, it empowers me. It literally is my motor. Someone had to see fit for me to exist here in this existence today. So it is my divine duty, my divine right to live it in the way that I see fit, as long as I'm also doing it in a way that it helps to empower others, because I have a responsibility. And so I use it in however I want. Um, and then I'm gonna wrap it up here in a second. I use that same kind of mantra in so many different ways. I'm a thick man, y'all can't tell right now, but I got a little bit of chug, a little jug, you know what I'm saying? But I got somebody who likes, I got nobody who likes it, but I know people who do. That's all that matters. And as long as I know that there's people who do, I use that same conversation to fight conversations about fat phobia as well. Where I'm very intentional, that's a whole other story, but I'm very intentional about like running, because I like to run, and then someone with my shirt off, my titties and all hanging out, I don't give a shit. Y'all gonna enjoy all of this, okay? But it's because of my blackness that I can do that about my sexuality. I can do that about body stuff. I know that I'm a cis man. I'm comfortable with everything I got, and I'm gonna also be comfortable with whatever you, as whoever my future partner out there is, partners, identify as, because you have that right to do that. I have a right to do it. So my journey has been that I can continue to do that, and as long as I'm able to, I'm going to. Not a major coming out to do so much. So it's like life realizations. Somebody had to exist for me to exist. So I'm going to continue to exist, and hopefully you rock with it.
Thank you so much. We lost Asa. Hopefully you will come back. Asa, where art thou? Oh my God, my necklace just hanging there for just a few more minutes. We're almost done. Um, wow, 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 William. Did you see me doing a few wall push-ups for you, Will? Did you see me do? I was doing wall push-ups. This has been so educative. And you got somebody tell you, somebody said, speak, sir. LOL, William, be my friend right now. Welcome back, Asa. William, they were like, be my friend right now. So, wow, I am so happy. You know what? Let me just say something. Sometimes you think about something, you know it's going to be good, but then you do it and then you see that it's even better. That's the way I feel about today, this afternoon. I knew it was going to be good. What with Papa in the building, and then Asa, and then Will, and then Dante, I knew it was going to be good, but I didn't know how good. Y'all have come here and made this mama bird proud. So I'm going to go around 1 minute, y'all. 1 minute. Okay. 1 minute. Just answer the next question, so that next time we don't have to answer that question. And by the way, you got a unanimous comeback, so we have to talk about that later. But that question I want you to answer for me today is, and I'm going to let Dante pick. Do you think we should answer words of advice to parents and the viewers, or do you think you should answer what would you say to someone who is struggling with coming out? Dante, you have the singular honor to pick the question that everyone else is going to answer as we walk out. Yes, yes, Dante, you're the man.
I think that based on what we've shared today, I kind of want to direct my advice toward parents. And I think that just has to do with the fact that I think that parents belong in this conversation as well. Like, you know, they might not be the ones who are coming out, but they love this person, and it's not always easy for parents, and for different reasons, like socially, just like talking to their friends and explaining this thing. It's not their life, but it's still something that they that it's going to change how their friends and their community sees them. And so I think that just when it comes to that, I think that I just hope that parents remember, come from a place of love, and from a recognition that it might be hard for you as the parent, but this person who you love has this whole experience, this whole life that they're living, and they can't divorce themselves from this reality. They can't lie about it. So they really need your love and support, and they need to feel like they are not alone in their journey. So just keep expressing the love, keep supporting your child and being there for them, and allowing them the space to evolve.
Wow. I knew it was going to be good. Thank you for picking that. So we're going to hop. I'll let Papa go last because they're my child. So, but I'll have Asa tell us the same question. What would you like to say to parents about just what we've talked about today? And with all due respect to you and your mother and that dynamic, which was so important, so crucial, it was a crucial piece of this conversation today. So Asa, take it away, sir.
Again, thank you for allowing me to come here. And for parents that are watching, I would like for you to reimagine this idea that you have about your queer identified child being selfish. Because if someone came to you and said, you're being selfish because you're not acting the way I desire for you to act, because you're not acting the way I need you to act to be happy, you're being selfish. How would that feel? It wouldn't bring you joy. You would highly be in a state of pissosity to receive that information. So what I'm offering to you in this moment is that they are not being selfish. You would be amazed of how many tears our pillows are soaked with, because what we've never chosen to do is to be an abomination and to disrespect you and dishonor you at all. You will never understand what it's like to be us. You are maybe getting this joyful, glittery, pride, float infused level of queerness that though has its space, but in the wee hours of the morning at 2:23 a.m. when we're alone and no one is there to comfort us, there is much work being done. There is much agony being felt, and there is much desire to be comforted by your loving arms. So please consider to do your best to not think that your children are the totality of your existence, and that we are our own individual, powerful, loving beings that deserve your respect and your smile.
I don't know how William is going to follow that, but William is going to try because I'm feeling that we imagine your idea of your child being selfish. I felt that, Asa. I felt that. William, do your thing, man. Don't be scared. I mean, no pressure. What you gonna tell the parents, sir?
Ace is a poet. It's clear. And look, let that poet be that poet. I'm a therapist. um, as a therapist, the thing that I guess the good takeaway would be, if you can remember that we all make mistakes, you are able to use that same energy to give yourself some grace.
Mm,
Um, I think oftentimes from my experience, and I actually just had this conversation very just yesterday, like not even 24 hours ago, um, with one of my best friends, that your child, much along the lines of Asa and Dante with the unconditional love and that the totality of their experiences, your child is this loving person that you brought together in the world, and you see them through a very specific lens because of your rearing of them. However, you can't let that be the thing that stops you from growing in their identity, because just like you, they too have the opportunity and chances to grow. So when you are thinking, especially this conversation came with pronouns and names conversation yesterday. When you're thinking about this child that you brought into this world and you want them to, you want to respect who they are, or you want to do things in accordance to the way that they see fit for themselves, give yourself grace and knowing that yes, you are going to mess up sometimes, but it's not about the messing up, it's about the recovery. And so if you give yourself a little bit of space, a little bit of grace to figure that out, you'll probably do better with your relationship with your child and bringing it back together so that way you guys can still have a good relationship and have those conversations. They're uncomfortable. Yeah, they're going to be. Think about how uncomfortable it is for the person who has to deal with it on a daily basis. You don't. So it's uncomfortable. And it's only as uncomfortable as you allow it to be, because ultimately your child has to live their life. But in being their best advocate, you eventually will hopefully come around to start speaking up on their behalf too. So a little space, a little bit of grace, and have those conversations with your child, not necessarily just your friends, because they have a certain go to the person. Don't ask my neighbor, come to me. Remember that.
Don't ask my neighbor. Come to me. I love that. All right, look at we're breaking into song, boy, breaking into poetry up in here. And Asa, honey, you are a wordsmith. I hope you know that you are. I mean, I'm sure you know that you're a poet. I mean, there's a poet struggling to. So I haven't said the word come out in there if it's not out already. But yes, I love that. So we're gonna end that with. Oh, before I do that, so I like what you said. You said give yourself some grace and some space to mess up sometimes, but it's not the mess up, it's the recovery. And I know the first thing I said today about Papa was he, and he was like, no, they. And I was like, okay, they. So don't dwell in, oh my God. I said, because I mean, it's fluid, it's changing, but just accept that you and just keep going. Don't make it a huge deal. And I don't know if Papa even remembers this, but the title of my book, I'm gonna put it out there. I didn't want to, but the title of my book is "It's Not About You, Mom." I wonder who you think said that. We're gonna leave that alone. Mhm. It's not about you, mom. The A through Z of raising your LGBTQ plus child. I'm taking out the mom bits because I don't want anyone to say, well, oh my God, I'm not a mom, so what? But the book is literally called It's Not About You. And I know it's in your face, but my child had to say that to me for me to say, oh my God, you're right. It's not about me. And so it's not about you, parent. All right, Papa, take us home, baby. Talk to us.
Uh, Part of me wishes my mom didn't make, or sorry, Dr. Lulu didn't want me to go last, because I feel like I'm the least qualified to talk about this because I'm not a parent. But I can speak to a couple things that I think of, just because a lot of trauma for Black queer individuals happens in our youth, unfortunately, and is done to us by people we trust, like our parents or like adult figures. So the two things I have is, first, as a parent, you want to think, why did I decide to parent a child? Did I decide to parent a child to recreate a mini me, or like recreate something? Or did I decide to parent a child because I wanted to help this thing, this person, become the best that they can possibly be? And if it's because of the latter, then the second part is, when it gets difficult, which it probably will be, seek help. Go to therapy to deal with how difficult this is for you to accept your child as this thing that you never saw them as. Um, and but when you're around your child, you need to be, honestly, you have to be unconditionally supportive. It's great to cry tears because you're scared about what they're going to go through in the world, but they're kind of aware of that, really, like probably more so than you. So you want to just be as supportive as possible. And when you are struggling, go see a therapist, go see someone else who can really help you deal with your situation. Don't put that on your child, because your child is going through their own stuff right now and they need you as a supporter, not as another source of stress or some other problem to focus on.
Y'all, it's not because it's my child, but please, can somebody please give my baby some snaps up in here? Brought the T word, therapy, Black folks. Yes, Papa said, Mom, you need to get therapy. I was like, yes, sir. Like literally, okay? So sometimes you have to do it because you need to do it. So everyone, oh my God, it's 4 p.m. Every good thing comes to an end. But Asa, what is it, like 1 a.m. over there? Y'all, okay, before I let you all go, because you've spent so much of your time, tell everyone where they can find you and then sign off, because some of us are business people here. Some of us are entrepreneurs. We need to get back from all of the giving we've been doing. So I know Papa isn't, but Papa, you want to start and tell the people where they can find you if you want to. Only those who want to, okay? Nnamdi.
Yeah, my social media is actually private, but I am working on a website. It will be done by the end of this semester, or it's in the works. And once that's up, I will, my Dr. Lulu will definitely publicize that.
Asa, you're next. And then really am again.
All right. So for those of you who like to connect to me, Asa Laveau, you can go to asaleveau.com. That's ASALEVEAUX for all of my veteran siblings out there. That is Alpha Sierra Alpha Lima Echo Victor Echo Alpha Uniform X-ray.com. And that is where you can find the way to join the Queer Money Gang for no cost, as well as my upcoming book that is launching next month called Black and Queer. There's more than sugar in my tank.
What? Yes! I knew it was Asa. It was going to be something funky. I love that. I love that. Drop that mic. Sign me up for pre-orders, my man, please. Oh, queer. Okay, what should I say? My man? I mean, I don't want to say the wrong thing.
My
Asa.
person.
My person? Okay, my person. Okay, I take that. Okay, I'm learning. It's okay. This brain of mine, I'm only using 10% of it. I can add more. So I'm learning. My person, yes, absolutely. William, oh my God, what you got? What you got? Talk to us.
All of my social medias are also private. I ain't trying to have nobody just randomly looking at my social media, but if you should choose, you're more than welcome to send me an email for anything that's business related, as well as consultation at William Your Therapist. That's WILLIAMYA therapist at gmail.com. And I'm also on LinkedIn. So if you see my complicated spelling name, it is William D. Stinchcomb, PCC, because I'm a professional clinical counselor. So, yeah.
All right. Oh my God. William, yacht therapist. Of course, it's going to be color. Of course, it's what we do. Love it. Love it. What about Dante? No pressure, Dante. You got to follow these acts. How do you do that?
Well, luckily, all I have to do is tell people where they can find me on the internet, so I'm not too concerned. Yeah, no, so I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me there, Dante Fisher. I don't think you might have to search Dante J Fisher. I really like the way the J in the period looks in the middle of my name, so I'm not sure if that's how it is on LinkedIn, but if you don't find me, Dante Fisher, that's how you can do it. And I also,
Dante Fisher. I'm sorry to mess you up, but it's just Dante Fisher.
Oh, no, thank you. Now everyone knows for sure. If they're looking for me, they can find me, Dante Fisher. Yeah, so my day job is that I'm a clinical lab technician. So if you want to learn about life as a clinical lab tech, you can talk to me. Also, if you know of any lab jobs in neuroscience labs, hit me up because I'm trying to get into some of those. And I am doing some social media work, primarily YouTube videos for an organization called Sia Larson's Ray of Light Foundation. And it is an organization that is working to dispel stigma surrounding mental illness and mental health issues, particularly in communities of color. And it also supports programs that train caregivers and support further studies, scientific research studies of mental health medicine. So you can find us on YouTube shortly. We don't have videos up yet, but we will have videos up very soon, hopefully in April. So Yes. In the meantime, though, you can check us out at Zia Larson's Ray of Light Foundation.org.
Yes, and might I add that that's how Dante and I met. I'm going to be one of the guests on their show, but I had my fingers crossed because I didn't want to forget to tell Dante that I see everyone here is potentially a guest on your show. By the way, I just wanted to put that out there, okay? Because I'm all about blowing people up. So, but my name is Dr. Lulu, aka the Momatrician. It has been my honor. If you know anyone who has a TV show, I see a TV show host in my future. I see it. I even see the clothes I'm wearing. Yeah. So holla at your girl, man. I'm going to bring my own special sauce. It's never been done this way before because you know what? There's only me. One of me. So yeah, if you know Oprah, if you know Michelle Obama, if you know someone who knows the right white man, sadly, but true, at the TV station, tell them to holla at your girl. I'm open. I'll bring all these guests back and we can get more people to see them. But in the meantime, I have a room on Clubhouse today. It's called Parenting Your LGBTQ plus Child with Dr. Lulu. And we're discussing acceptance today. So find me on Clubhouse. Otherwise, stay tuned. I have a book coming out. It's called The Warrior Women Project. And if you'd like to get to know more about how to raise your baby, your beautiful unicorn, full of all the colors on the rainbow, drop me a DM or just download the free PDF, dr-lulu.com, and you get a PDF of 10 things you should know about raising your baby. And I'm learning every day. My book is called It's Not About You, A through Z of how to raise your LGBTQ plus child. That's my time, y'all. Peace out, everybody. Don't forget to share this video. And yes, tell them Dr. Lulu sent you. For now, it's peace, love, and so. Bye.